September the 7th, 2021. Guys, you're looking at the latest information from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. This is from 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time, so just over an hour ago. But not a lot has changed in the path of either of the systems that we've been watching. Larry is still going to go to the right of Bermuda, go up into St. John's as a Cat 2 hurricane. What has changed is that the system in the Gulf of Mexico is fully moved offshore now and is wrapping up, and it has went from a 30% chance of development to a 40% chance of development. Path is still basically the same. It's saying that showers and thunderstorms have increased today over the south central Gulf of Mexico in association with a surface trough and an upper level disturbance. The system is expected to move slowly northeastward over the central and northeastern Gulf during the next couple of days. You can see that path. Upper level winds are currently unfavorable for development, but they are forecast to become more conducive for some limited tropical or subtropical cyclone development as the system nears the northern Gulf. And they're saying that's going to happen Wednesday and tomorrow and Wednesday night. That's tomorrow, guys. Today's Tuesday. The disturbance is then expected to cross the southeastern U.S., and some slight additional development will be possible after it emerges off the southeastern U.S. coastline this week. Now, for my friends in Florida, and they mentioned Georgia here, regardless of development, areas of heavy rainfall will be possible across portions of the Florida Panhandle and southern Georgia on Wednesday and Thursday, with localized flooding possible. Let me add to that the problem with tornadoes. It's too hot this time of the year. Now we're 3 days from the peak of hurricane season. So just always understand that heat factor is very important, both on the water, both in the atmosphere. On the land, you're seeing storms develop if you get any kind of system around it at all. But again, so Florida Panhandle and southern Georgia on Wednesday and Thursday with localized flooding possible. Now, for our friends in St. John's, you've still got a Category 3 hurricane at this point. Maximum sustained winds, 115 miles per hour. Minimum central pressure, 965. Movement northwest at 9 miles an hour. It's not moving that fast. Now, these are current images over the Gulf of Mexico from the satellites there. And what you're seeing is the system now completely has separated itself from the Yucatan Peninsula. Notice, though, that over the land, and I mentioned this about the temperatures of the Yucatan Peninsula itself, during the heat of the day with the sun over it, you see storms developing there. Now, what's going to happen is that's going to trail in this system of low pressure that's moving up towards what many are saying will be crossing the Florida Panhandle, somewhere between Tampa and Pensacola, and moving through South Georgia, then re-emerging at that point. But you can see now it's starting to try to gather itself together. Notice the high-level winds, are called the wind shear, that they're talking about, and they're all pushing the tops of the storms off, and they're also guiding the storm. It will also be influenced by this system that we're seeing along the Gulf, the rain in Louisiana, Mississippi, and look at the peninsula of Florida. And we've seen this before. You go through a couple weeks of not much rain at all, then you get a low pressure system in the Caribbean or in the Gulf, and these storms start popping up. And they're a precursor to what could become some problems with flooding. But now this wind shear that I pointed out here that's blowing not only the tops off the clouds, not all of them, because they're starting to wrap around the center somewhat, but that is going to somewhat slow down. That's what they're talking about. It's not moving that fast now. It took a couple of days to get across the Yucatan, but with this system that it's encountering now in the energy, and like they're saying, Wednesday night into Thursday, there's going to be problems as it crosses through Florida and into Georgia. And this upper level wind shear is predicted to slow down and make it more conducive to development. So what I'm saying, I guess the main point of the video is tonight and into tomorrow morning would be the time to keep an eye on it. Especially, I've got friends down on the coast that are charter captains, and they different type of fishing seasons, red snapper, whatever it is, and they all watch this. But I always send a message to them, and this video is part of that. Is some of them have what's called a 6-pack, guys, and that's you can have 6 people on board, and then you can have a 24-pack with the bigger boats like the 30 to 40 footers, and you can have 24 people on board. But I would watch this very closely. This is a wild look of the Atlantic as you see the sunset approaching the east coast of the U.S. now. Larry's going through what's called recycling, and you see the eye wall reform, get really strong. Then as the sun comes up over it through the day, heats back up, and you see that recycling. That's exactly what's happening. And again, keep your eyes on the Gulf of Mexico in the top left of the screen. Now, the current information on Larry coming out of Fox News down in Florida is that, again, 115 mile per hour wind. It was at 120, but it's still a Cat 3 hurricane. So tomorrow, or 2 hours after midnight tonight, I hate to say tomorrow, but it would be Wednesday technically, it will become a Cat 2 because it's getting in colder waters, and it will remain a Cat 2. And now what's good for St. John's, if anything about a direct hit from one of these things is good, is that now notice in the last frame, and we'll look at the spaghetti models, but it's down to a Cat 1. This cooler weather is having an effect on the storm. So you're at Thursday at 2 p.m., it's just east, slightly northeast of Bermuda. Friday at 2 a.m. it's here. Then we're going to, again, look at the spaghetti models, but you're going into the weekend with the impact for our friends in the St. John's area. Now, one thing that has changed, the models are still very tight, but they have moved slightly west. They were covering kind of both sections here, both islands, and now they're basically on the east side of St. John's. So all of that's great because that puts the northeast quadrant of the storm further to the east in the impact points. But right now they're tight, and it looks like impact as a Category 1 hurricane. The spaghetti models on the system in the Gulf, they haven't changed a lot. Again, just the percentage of development has increased. But this is just about 16 minutes ago at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, not many models have weighed in on this storm, if you notice. The Navy hasn't, I don't think, during the entire time. The CME kind of did, kind of back out. So, but the one thing that I've learned over the years, and for all of you guys that have watched this, you know that when the CMC model and the Navy model start crossing as it approaches landfall, you better pay attention to it. So the National Hurricane Center here is still showing the trip, which basically crosses Jacksonville, Florida. But the CMC is still drifting across the mouth of the Mississippi River. Now, if it was one of the other models, kind of the outliers like TABD or the AVNO, which shows it coming down into Mexico, I wouldn't really think about it that much. But when the CMC does it, that's telling me that they're watching the high pressure that's over the Atlantic, the Gulf, and the southeastern U.S. So just because the CMC is showing a little further to the west and moving more northwest or northeast, but with the overall pattern to the west, we're going to pay attention to that too, guys. But we're watching it. You watch this. It's a heads up. Be safe.